Hey there, this is Pastor Micah from Life's Journey United Church of Christ. Um, Greeting you this Wednesday night um, as we have a midweek reflection or devotional. This past week, we began to celebrate Black History Month when we take time during our Sunday services to lift up the stories of people from the Black community who've embodied God's grace in special ways. This Sunday, we studied Jesus' invitation for us to experience rebirth so we could see God's kingdom and God's spirit, finding our place in living into God's dream. But we also connected this message to Black history by looking at the ways Dr. Howard Thurman, a Black theologian who was a mentor to Martin Luther King, pointed people to prayer and meditation to help people center down and see a bigger picture of life. We explored how, like Thurman, we all can choose to pause and meditate so we too can more fully see where God is at work, bringing God's dream about in our world, and also how we can fit into that dream. This coming week, we will study Jesus' encounter with a woman at Jacob's well in Samaria and how Jesus chooses to truly see her and hear her rather than dismiss her. We will look at how this text calls us to be ones who really see others, not for the labels others throw at them, but for who they really are. We will also explore the life of Maya Angelou, Black poet and civil rights activist, whose life message was about the power of people being seen, accepted, and allowed to shine for who they are, not who the world tries to force them to be. When I think about these two challenges, I am reminded of two things. First, I am reminded of a challenge Howard Thurman gave. He wrote, "There must always be remaining in the individual life some place for the singing of angels, some place for that which in itself is breathlessly beautiful, and by an inherent prerogative, throwing all the rest of life into a new and creative relatedness, something that gathers up in itself all the freshets of experience from drab and commonplace areas of living and glows in one bright light of penetrating beauty and meaning, then passes. The commonplace is shot through with new glory. Old burdens become lighter. Deep and ancient wounds lose much of hurting, old hurting. And a crown is placed over our heads that for the rest of our lives we are trying to grow tall enough to wear. Despite all the crassness of life, despite all the hardness of life, despite all the harsh discords of life, life is saved by the singing of angels. In a way, embracing ourselves as ones who are worthy and deserving to shine, as we will see both Jesus and Maya Angelou challenge us to do, is exactly what Thurman us describes when he talks of us placing a crown on our heads we spend our whole lives trying to grow into. So often the message we are given instead is how worthless and insignificant we are. So we just muddle through and don't really try. Yet if we really believe, truly to the heart of who we are sons or daughters, children or beloveds of the Creator, we have to believe we are worth something. If we truly see ourselves as children of the King or Queen of creation, we will both accept that, like the royalty we are, we deserve more than we have been demanding of life, and also, like the royalty we are, more ought to be expected of us. As Marianne Williamson once said, we ask ourselves, Who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in every one. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. In his life and ministry, Thurman inspired black men and women like Martin Luther King to hold their heads up high and no longer accept anything less than a full place at life's table, not letting the color of their skin be used against them. Maya Angelou adds to this gender, using her writing and poems like Phenomenal Woman to demonstrate that women and girls should not be treated like their gender makes them weak, without gifts and talent to offer. Instead, each of them can be phenomenal women who bring strength, beauty, creativity, and a voice worth hearing. Both Thurman and Angelo challenge us, as Jesus did in both his conversation with Nicodemus that we studied last week and the woman at Jesus' well that we will study this coming week, to consider whether we have been simply accepting the negative messages of the world around us or instead embracing the fact that we are phenomenal men and phenomenal women. And for any of us not, who are gender non binary, phenomenal people. And I'd hope those of us who are male or female would view ourselves as phenomenal people, whether we're transgender or cisgender. Who we are is full of potential, gifts, and blessings. We are phenomenal. We need to see ourselves that way. We need to ask, are we choosing to put the crown on our heads that a child of the king or queen deserves? One so tall, we have to spend our whole lives growing into it. Or are we holding our heads down low with sagging shoulders, slumped down with shame, regret, self doubt? God, our parent, says to us, as my mother often said to me, child of mine, quit your slumping. Stand tall like royalty. Truly, as Genesis 1 and 2 tells us we are ones who bear the image of God and are good, very good as God made us. Who are we not to live as if we deserve the best God has for us? Psalm 139 says, you and I are fearfully and wonderfully made, just as we are. God does not make junk. What are we saying? Of what we believe about our Creator? If we act as if we are just garbage to be tossed aside or treated as worthless. Also, we need to ask, are there people in our lives whom we are treating as throwaways? Who we are sending the message, you are garbage, to? Are there ways we are belittling or ruling out others? Are there ways we can instead help others? Help them put a crown they will have to spend their whole lives to grow into because it is so grand on their head, which is the only kind of crown a child of God ought to wear? Are there ways we can help those around us embrace the fact that they are worth something? Friends, let's hold our heads up high. Let's live into the wonderful truth God declares about who we are. And let us be that voice telling others who need to hear it that they too are of infinite worth and unlimited potential. Amen and amen.